I'm Tim Kilduff, and this is Business Matters. This is a program not only about local businesses, but about the people who run them, the people who founded them, the people who built them. Today we're fortunate to have James Cassidy, the founder and owner of Ashland Physical Therapy. James, thanks for joining us.
Sure, I'm glad to be here, Tim.
Appreciate you spending the time.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about Ashland Physical Therapy. We'll talk about the Ashland part later, of the title of the business. But give us a little quick snapshot of Ashland Physical Therapy in the services.
Well, I started Ashland Physical Therapy in 2004, and that was kind of established as the parent company, so that's actually just the name of the corporation. And then, as you know, branched out in December, opened up Hopkinton Physical Therapy as well. Really, the services we offer: outpatient physical therapy. We're looking to serve this community and help as many people around here as we can. When I first opened the business, there was a real hole in this market, which is why I looked at this area. I did a lot of research around, and there was just no one servicing all the people, Ashland, Hopkinton, Holliston. Those areas were really underserved. People were having to commute a good ways, all the way into Framingham, Natick, getting in the Route 9 kind of hubbub, or way out west, into Worcester, to get the services they needed to rehabilitate from an injury. So
now that we've got that, let's take a step back.
Okay.
Physical therapy. What's the education? What kind of training do you need? And why did you get interested in physical therapy to begin with?
Okay.
So I guess that's three questions in one.
All right, we can do that. So physical therapy, at this point, they've changed the rules a little bit. They keep kind of upgrading the degree, if you will. Now, anyone entering a physical therapy program is going to come out with a doctorate. It's not a MD, obviously. It's a clinical doctorate, so it's a DPT degree. So someone would enter into school and enter into college to get their bachelor's, take 6 years straight through to come out with their doctorate degree.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a good amount of education. When I went through, there wasn't a combined program, so I have a master's degree, and we kind of got grandfathered in, but got my degrees at University of Colorado for my undergraduate. Then you applied to graduate schools that had physical therapy and got your master's at that point.
Now, where did you go after Colorado?
Colorado, I got my master's degree then down in Florida, Nova Southeastern University, and got my degree there, and ended up doing some rotations. Part of the schooling, you do have to do clinical rotations after you've done all your book work, gone through all the lectures, the tests, and things like that. Then you have to do your clinical rotations. I happened to do those up here in Boston, more in the city. Made some good connections, did things like that, and then decided to continue working here.
If there are young people out there that are kind of interested in sports medicine, those kinds of things, what's the undergraduate program look like? What do you concentrate on?
The undergraduate, you're going to focus in on all your different life sciences. I mean, you're going to obviously be taking biology, human anatomy, human physiology. You also are usually required to take chemistry, organic chemistry, and physics along with those. So your major can really be anything, and I was in school actually with a woman who her undergraduate degree was business, but you do have to have the prerequisites necessary to go through the school. So the degree itself isn't important, but you have to get all those life sciences in because they're important.
But the master's degree has got to have a tremendous amount of focus.
It does, yeah. Then once you actually begin the graduate work, and this is the way I did it, but also in the current programs as well to get your DPT, really focused in on diagnosis, treatment, all musculoskeletal, orthopedic injuries. That said, you can focus in, you can specialize, you could do pediatrics, you could do neuro, you could do a lot of different things with physical therapy. So a lot of different ways you can go, a lot of different places you can work.
When you went in as an undergraduate, did you have an idea where you were going?
At that point, I didn't, actually. I honestly had no idea what I was doing or what I was going to do. I just tried to I took a lot of different classes in a lot of different areas, trying to kind of figure out what I did want to do. It wasn't really until I got a knee injury in my sophomore year of college. And that's after I got that injury and then finally did seek, some advice from some of the sports medicine people on campus, figured out, oh wow, there's this whole profession out here. that you can really help people, and quickly too. You know, I mean, in a matter of a few weeks, my knee pain was gone. I was just amazed that that was possible. You know,
So you were an athlete in college?
Yes, yeah, I participated in. I did a lot of different sports. Primarily, I was a rower. I was on the crew team at University of Colorado, but I also played volleyball. I did some triathlons. I did a wide variety of things. Just stayed active. You know, a lot of hiking out there, of course, and skiing as well. So
you get focused. Mm-hmm. You decide you're gonna get a master's degree in this particular discipline.
Yep.
You get your master's degree, then what?
Got my master's degree, then immediately out of school started working for some other different clinics. You know, I worked probably 3 different places, all outpatient sports medicine clinics, but all varied populations as far as both age range as well as the demographic of who was coming in. You know, as far as did you have, you know, high school, college athletes, professional athletes, which I was able to work with in Colorado, which is great, as well as, you know, people who are the weekend warriors, or even someone who is just sitting at their computer all week long and gets back pain or neck pain or things like that. So
what teams did you work with on a professional level?
In Colorado, I worked with some different professional triathletes, so it wasn't so much as teams, it was individuals who would come in. I was very lucky to be able to work with some world champions and people of a very high caliber. Back here in Boston, I got to work with the Boston Ballet for a few years, which was fantastic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really some interesting things.
So ballet dancers have problems, joint muscle problems?
They happen to have a few problems that crop up. Yeah, they really put their bodies through a lot, and they started at a very young age when they're still growing, and so their bodies take a lot of abuse. They really need a lot of upkeep, if you will, to maintain muscles that normally aren't worked for them, so they can really get that balance. You know?
Oh, that's interesting. Where did you make the sort of the decision then to start your own company?
So after working, you know, I worked for 4 to 5 years for other people, and really saw things that I wanted changed. As an employee, as a working physical therapist, you know, staff physical therapist, there were things that I was unhappy with that I felt like could be changed, that were addressable, that if I had my own place, I felt like I could create an environment for my employees where they would be happier, then the patients are going to be happier. Everybody, you know, works for everybody. So I was really looking to create an environment that really focused on quality of care. I mean, I worked in a few different places where, you know, a lot of things today are about productivity, you know, including healthcare. The reimbursement rates go down, there's less and less money out there, so you really have to up your patient load. A lot of people know they go see their doctor now, you get your 2 or 3 minutes and that's it. So I really wanted to structure something that was different, and we do that in both Ashland and Hopkinton with 45-minute one-on-one appointments, and you get the time, you get, you know, somebody just listening. And that ultimately, I believe, translates in quicker time in, quicker time out anyway, because really we can focus the care on exactly what your needs are.
Did you have to take courses, or did you have to study, or did you have a coach help you with the starting of a business? Now that's very different than your training.
Yes, I didn't have any particular coaching. I just kind of drew on experience, different experiences I had had to that point. There's really not, unfortunately, for a lot of healthcare people. My brother is a physician, he's a surgeon, and we've had these conversations before. We really don't get any business training. The doctors don't, the PTs don't. There's no business training out there, unfortunately, which makes it challenging. You know, you're trying to meet both the needs of your patients as a healthcare practitioner, as well as run a business and still turn a profit so you can pay your employees and do that. So it was challenging. I learned a lot on the fly.
Would you, if somebody were interested in starting any small business, is there any advice you might give them, having sort of walked through this now?
Sure.
Maybe with a little struggle.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, I think no matter what, I think no matter how much training you would have, or who you are, or what kind of financial situation you might be in, you're going to have highs and lows, and you're going to run into a lot of obstacles. I think persistence is the biggest thing. Just deciding that you're going to be successful, you're going to make it, and making that happen. And when you run into those walls, because you will, no matter what, you're going to hit different barriers, different walls, just you keep going, you look for creative solutions, you know, I mean, and you have to get creative. I think that's a big key for a lot of people, is look outside the box, think outside the box, you know, talk to people, use your connections, and you can work most everything out.
Okay, let's go back. That's important. Talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you don't get dissuaded. You have to have some level of both determination,
sure,
energy, I would think. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other qualities in terms of running a small business that are critical?
Again, I think it really comes down to problem solving, you know, and coming up with solutions that maybe have not been considered or thought of before. You do need to draw off experience of people who've already been there, absolutely. And I belong to a few different organizations, the Massachusetts American Physical Therapy chapter, as well as even Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce, Ashland Business Association, drawing off all of those people, you know, both the practitioners who have their own clinics and maybe have had them for 40 years now, as well as people who own, you know, a mom and pop dry cleaners place. I mean, you're really just talking to everyone. The more people you can have discussions with and kind of go back and forth and help each other out, you know, it really makes a difference. You know,
I want you to talk a little bit about, in a minute, about sort of age groups, the kind of injuries that you're seeing, that sort of thing. But there must be a lot of pressure on you to stay current. I mean, there must be new developments, new techniques, new therapies coming up. How do you keep track of that?
There is a lot of new stuff coming out there. And unfortunately, Massachusetts doesn't require physical therapists to have a certain number of continuing education hours. That said, we have kind of our own internal, so we set up an internal quality control program.
You have?
Yes, within our clinics, where I reimburse my practitioners for courses. I have them constantly telling them, go out, take this course, go take this course, come back, tell us what you've learned. We do a lot of in-services. We'll send somebody out. Just 2 weeks ago, we had 2 PTs go take a course up in New Hampshire. The most current stuff on head and neck injuries for athletes, you know, high school athletes, college athletes. Had them come back in now, give an in-service, tell us kind of what's the newest stuff out there, what are the new timelines as far as concussions, what are the new things you're looking for, you know, with the muscle spasms in the neck, and educate us and keep us current that way. That's one way, as well as just we get all the publications and things like that too.
Matt, I want to go back to this Massachusetts part of it. Do most states have standards in
They do, yes. Most states do. I am not sure why Massachusetts doesn't. I do serve on one of the boards, the private practice section, and we're trying to...
Private practice section of?
Of the American Physical Therapy Association of Massachusetts. Okay. So we have a national organization, a local state chapter. I'm on one of the boards within that chapter, a special interest group.
So if someone then is looking for a physical therapist, mm-hmm. James, I've got a problem with my knee. Mm-hmm. Can you, and I'm searching for a physical therapist, what should I be looking for? What would you tell them?
I think the important things, you are looking for people who are staying current. I mean, as you actually just brought up, it's very important. So when you're looking, and primarily I think people are looking at websites nowadays, you know, it's nice when you get a recommendation from a friend or family member, sure. I mean, that's great, because then you know you're going somewhere that's offered good services already. If you're going in blind, you're probably looking at websites, really looking for, I would say some of the keywords you're looking for are functional exercise programs, manual therapies. Those are probably 2 of the biggest ones. A lot of physical therapy is leaning away from kind of the passive modalities of electric stimulation, ultrasound, some of those, and really working towards hands-on therapies and getting people moving and doing exercises with correct form so that they can get back to whatever it is they'd like to do.
Problems running the business, challenges. Mm-hmm. Let's not say problems, challenges. Mm-hmm. What are some of the difficult parts of your work in terms of getting people to listen, respond? I mean, okay, we've got a person that's current, that's educated, current.
Sure.
That doesn't mean people are necessarily gonna do what you suggest, does it?
No, it doesn't. And we really look to get that commitment from our patients. You know, from the first visit, we'll have conversations with them and really get people to commit to their health. I mean, you know, in our current day and age, people are running like crazy. They're doing, you know, keeping up with their kids. They're working their 10 or 12-hour days. You know, we have a lot of our patients are working in Boston, so they're leaving early in the morning in Boston all day, coming back late at night. You know, and we're treating them before or after that. It's difficult though. It's a challenge. You know, we talk to people about prioritizing their health. I mean, ultimately, it's going to be a long-term benefit that they're going to reap. You know, if they're keeping their body healthy in whatever different injury we're talking about, it's going to mean a much more, you know, much higher quality of life down the road. You know, as they do age.
They have to do the work, don't they?
But yeah, they're a participant. It's a team effort. You know, and we're there to educate. You know, we'll give them as much information as possible. We're there to assist, of course, too, with the different hands-on therapies and things like that. But ultimately, the burden does fall on them as well. It's us working together. You know, and if the patient works with us, we can get it done. If they don't, it won't work.
Let's talk about age groups. Mm-hmm. I think there's probably, I would bet there are a lot of people that think that the people that come to you for help are older. Maybe have difficulty walking or whatever. Mm-hmm. What's the spread of the clients? What do the patients look like? What's the demographic? We
have every age, for sure. I mean, we've got kids coming in as young as 4 or 5 years old, all the way up through the geriatric population, people in their 90s. I would say the primary bulk of our patients, though, are probably 30 to 50 years old, weekend warrior type of athletes. You know, what we have seen a shift somewhat in that we are getting more and more kids in. You know, we're getting kids now younger and younger as well with overuse injuries. So whereas before we would get some of the high-end high school athletes, we're now getting middle schoolers in who have had an overuse injury of their arm or their knees or their things like that. So we're seeing more and more kids, which is a little scary, you know, that these kids would be getting these type of injuries. But we've definitely seen a shift that way.
Talk a little bit more about this overuse stuff. You know, I know there must be I know there's a lot of competition at the younger level. Kids are I don't know if they're being pushed, but they're being recruited in a sense for travel teams at much younger ages than I remember.
Yeah.
How does that fit into this use issue?
I mean, it's the primary player for sure. You know, we used to have, 10, 20 years ago, we would have kids who were doing a different sport every season. So they really were getting kind of a well-rounded, their body actually was able to get a well-rounded use, you know, for lack of a better word. They were really able to exercise all the different parts of their body fairly equally. Now, as you said, we have travel teams, we have school teams, special team, this team, that team, you know. And so kids are really getting into one sport very early. You know, again, we're talking about even 8 and 9-year-olds, one sport and doing it year-round. And because of that, we're seeing a lot of overuse injuries in these kids. And kids shouldn't be getting overuse injuries. That just should not be occurring. The answer isn't to just cut them off, and it doesn't mean they can't play sports year-round, but you know, we're getting them into physical therapy. Again, a lot of education, coaches, parents, and the kids as far as, okay, you know, you're going to do this and that's fine. This is what you guys have chosen. Here's what you guys really need to do to avoid these injuries so that your kid is playing in high school even, and college and beyond if that's possible. So,
you know, I remember the day when the physical education classes years and years ago, the purpose was to at least introduce some activity, could be a sport, but the whole idea was to give kids something that they could do the rest of their life.
Right.
It seems to me the competitive side is stressed a lot more than it used to be.
I think that's true. You know, I think that's very true, and I think the pressure can be from the coaches, from the parents, or even, I mean, we get kids in who are extremely self-motivated, and they're the ones, and we talk to them, and they have decided at a very young age this is what they want to do. So, you know, it's really talking to them. I think the schools are doing a good job. My daughters are in school here in Hopkinton, and from what I hear and from talking to their physical education teachers, I think they're getting the right stuff there, you know, because they are trying to expose them to a variety of things and also give them the skills to have kind of a lifelong, healthy, you know, physically active body. But again, I think it's really about really just education, you know, and it's nice that the schools are doing a job, and when people are coming in, we're trying to do that and just keep people focused in.
There must be a lot of reward in working with someone who has a particular problem, give them the advice, do the physical therapy, and then and they follow your instructions and they come out healthier.
Yeah,
there must be a lot. But what's the most difficult part of the work that you do?
In all honesty, the most challenging thing, I believe, is dealing with the insurance companies, because even even when we get people, as we discussed, who are not as compliant with their exercises that they're supposed to be completing at home, that's something we can work with. You know, I mean, really, we can have those conversations with them. When it's just one-on-one, us with the patient, we can work through those things. You know, we really can. I mean, really, the tough thing for us is the insurance companies and them limiting visits and, you know, making copays higher and paying, you know, giving less reimbursement. Just the whole system is very challenging.
No, you brought it up. I didn't.
I know. But big topic.
You have new healthcare rules and regulations and laws. I'm assuming now you have to be a quasi-expert on that.
You do, yeah, and that's one reason I am involved at the state level with my association, is to keep current with those laws, because there is a constant influx of new things. You know, we had big changes this year. There's still some changes that are supposed to occur in December and January. Staying on top of those and watching, because you have to code things different. Again, the reimbursement rates are constantly fluctuating, changing. As far as the business side of things, you have to be all over that.
So despite the fact that the new healthcare laws have not all come into fruition at this point, you're already seeing changes on the part of the insurance companies? Are they already reacting?
They are, yeah. I mean, from what we've seen, yes, I would say absolutely. And I think everybody's kind of tightening the belt, so to speak. You know, we're seeing, I mean, our patients now who are coming in, their deductibles are higher than I've ever seen. Their copays are higher than I've ever seen. They're really, the patient now is footing the bill. And that's difficult for people, though. You know, they're paying a very large monthly premium to have health insurance, and then they're coming into us and they're having to pay potentially a lot out of pocket because their insurance coverage isn't good. I mean,
which obviously has an impact on your business. So
yes.
you have two, I shouldn't call them stores,
right.
2 locations.
Yes. Yep.
How many employees?
We have, between the 2 clinics, we have 9 employees right now.
9 employees.
Yep.
Working full-time.
We have 1 or 2 part-time people in there as well, but yeah, pretty much full-time, full benefits. It's, again, on the business side of things, it's a challenging, very challenging thing in today's market.
So again, therapy, understanding, scientific background, proper education,
right.
Learning how to run a small business. Now you're not just managing a small business, but you're managing people as well.
Yes.
And all of those people interact with a whole host of people externally. Right,
exactly. And that's the key, is getting the right people in there for sure. Because when you hire a physical therapist or someone for your staff, they are your business. You know, there are patients I may never make any contact with. That person's going to go back to their doctor, their friends, their family, and say, I like Hopkinton physical therapy, or I don't. And it's going to be based on their experience with that physical therapy, you know, with my employee. So if you don't get the right people in.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you a New Englander?
No,
by birth?
No.
Where were you born originally?
I was actually born in Nebraska.
Okay, Nebraska,
yep.
Colorado, Maryland? No, Florida.
Florida for a couple of years.
Why New England, and in particular, why Metro West?
As I looked at things again, I did my first clinical rotations after graduate school up here in New England. Okay. This was a good area as far as Metro West is concerned to start the business, because again, it was just an underserved population, underserved area. So Metro West specifically, and I'll go to the other areas also, but Metro West specifically was a high volume of people and not enough services. You know, people were having to drive too far to get the help they needed. As far as New England and the rest, it is nice. It's very nice being close to some of the top healthcare in the world. I mean, it's the doctors that I have access to. You know, if I have a patient walk in the door who I need to get to somebody to see, you know, it's let's say it's a knee injury that's very rare, or let's say they come in with knee pain and we kind of determine, you know what, I don't know exactly what this is, but this is not orthopedic, it's not musculoskeletal. I need to get you to, have somebody look at higher up and more centrally. I've got access to the best doctors in the world, so I can refer those people out, and I know they're going to get good care. I know they'll get well taken care of. So, yeah.
So you did your research. You started in Ashland. Mm-hmm. You've been how long?
Started in Ashland in 2004.
And what's the decision, what prompted the decision to expand, and then why Hopkinton?
Two or three different things. Hopkinton, in Ashland, about 45% of my patients were actually Hopkinton residents. They were making the commute down. I was getting a lot of heavy suggestions to, hey, you should open up in Hopkinton. You should be, people wanted it even closer to their houses. As well as, I think it taps into a different market. Ashland, really, I get a lot of patients from Framingham, Natick, Holliston, those areas. Where my clinic is, I can tap into Westboro, Upton, Hopedale, Milford. It really kind of, even though they're 4 miles apart, I can really tap into two different markets of people geographically.
The Hopkinton office is drawing from where? What communities?
Hopkinton is drawing more, of course, Hopkinton, but as well as Westboro, Upton, Hopedale, Milford, kind of things just outside the 495 belt. And even a little bit of Northborough, depending on how far away we get, Medfield, some things like that. Ashland, again, Framingham, Natick, even Waltham. I mean, we have patients who will travel a ways to see us, but again, more towards the city.
Well, we don't make any apologies for being boosters of Hopkinton, but you live here.
Yes, I do.
So that had to be a decision. Why did you settle on Hopkinton?
A few different things. I do have 2 little girls, another one on the way. Schools here are fantastic. We did our research, great schools. We wanted to have our kids in those schools. My wife and I are both runners. The marathon starts here, marathon goes here. I mean, it was there were some things like that. We love to run. There's the Hopkinton Running Club. There's a lot of different social aspects as well, beyond great education for my kids, good community. I like that there's a lot of town pride here, in all honesty. We noticed it even just when I was working with people, when I was working in Ashland, when the residents came in. People have a lot of pride about living in Hopkinton. They really do, and I like that. I think people should have pride in the place they live, and good sense of community, a lot of people helping each other out. It seemed like a good fit for us. So.
Well, we're glad to have you here. We're glad that you chose, obviously, New England to set up your operation. Ashland's great. Hopkinton's better. So we appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely.
You've got a lot of challenges ahead of you, but I think the community benefits by having people of high standards and high skills who can understand the civic pride in the community. So we're happy to have you in Hopkinton.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.